In Chapter 13, Liz just withdrew from school, and Marley had to do the presentation without her. In Chapter 14, pay attention to Betty Jean explaining what passing is, what it means, and how she feels about it, how Marley feels about it, and how Mother feels about it. After history, I went to the bathroom and threw up. I'd done it. I'd spoken aloud in class at school, but I didn't feel powerful. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt like I was getting the flu. I got halfway to the nurse's office before I turned and walked out of the building. I tried to make myself feel bad about skipping school, but it didn't work. I just kept hearing Sally saying she threw away her hairbrush, imagining Mother complaining about states' rights, remembering racing turtles with Liz in the sunlight. I walked home slowly. I needed to talk to Judy. She would know what to do. She would know what to say, but as soon as I went into the kitchen, I remembered Judy was at Margaret's for a tutoring session. Betty Jean glanced over at me. "You're home early." I didn't answer. "You've got something in your hair," she said. I put my hand to my head. It was the black feather. Betty Jean poured me a half glass of sweet tea. "Drink it," she said, "and then you can tell me what's wrong." I had no intention of telling her, but I was thirsty, and after I drank the tea, I felt a little better. Betty Jean had her back to me and was stuffing a chicken for dinner. I was going to tell her I wasn't feeling well, which was true, and go to my room to wait for Judy. But when I opened my mouth, what came out was, "Have you ever heard of a light-skinned Negro pretending to be white?" Betty Jean stopped what she was doing, her hands full of chicken guts, and gave me a funny look. "Why are you asking me that, Marley?" "The kids at school said, 'This girl I know.' I was just wondering." I couldn't get any words to come. Finally, I just stood there, helpless, praying Betty Jean would understand. I guess she did, because she finally pushed the basting pan aside and went to the sink to wash her hands. She cut 2 pieces of blueberry pie, then sat down at the table. I sat down too, and she pushed the pie across the table to me. "It's called passing," she said. "Some Negroes who are really light-skinned and have straight hair try it." "Why?" I asked. "Better schooling, more opportunities." She shrugged. "Maybe they're just tired of being seen as second best." I didn't say anything. It suddenly seemed like there was more gray around her temples than there had been just a moment before. "It's a hard life," Betty Jean went on. "You have to give up seeing family and friends, stop going the places you used to go, and you have to lie every day to everyone you meet. Like Liz had done to me. Lying like that, well, it's exhausting. I hope you never have a secret like that, Marley. A secret so big your whole life depends on it." I swallowed. "What happens if someone finds out?" "I'm not sure your mother would like me talking to you about this, Marley." "Please," I said. "Please, Betty Jean. There's no one else I can ask." She took a few more bites of blueberry pie. When she spoke, she kept her eyes on her plate, mashing a bit of crust with her fork. "If you're really lucky, you lose your job or you're kicked out of school. If you're a little less lucky, you get beat up. But after a few weeks, your injuries heal and you're left alone. If you're not lucky, a lynch mob comes and firebombs your house, killing you and everyone you love." And that's when I knew it was true. I didn't know her phone number or where she lived. I'd never even asked if she had a sister. No wonder she had picked me as a friend. No one else was stupid enough to not ask any questions. "Marley," said Betty Jean quietly, "are you all right?" I nodded as I stood up and went to my room. I lay on my bed, numb. Even my mind was empty. After talking in school in front of everyone, I guess my words were all used up. It was late afternoon by the time Judy poked her head into my room. I must have fallen asleep because I jerked awake when I heard her ask, "How'd it go?" It took me a minute to realize she was asking about the presentation. If I told her the truth, she'd make a big deal about it and tell Mother and Daddy. I'd have to act happy and proud or explain what had actually happened. On the other hand, if I said I hadn't done the presentation, that I'd chickened out, she'd console me and tell me it was okay and I could not handle that now either, because everything was definitely not okay. But I had to say something. Liz is colored. What? Asked Judy, a puzzled look on her face. That's when I started to cry. By the time I'd calmed down enough to tell Judy the whole story, it was getting late. Judy pursed her lips tighter and tighter as I talked until finally they were just one straight line across her face. Oh, Marley, she said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. I didn't either. Part of me was angry at Liz for lying, part of me wanted her to come back, and the other part just wanted the magic square book. You think it's okay if whites and Negroes go to school together? I asked Judy. Don't you? Judy said nothing. Don't you? I guess so, said Judy slowly. But I hated it when those soldiers came to Central. They stared at me each time I had to walk by them in my gym shorts. It doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't it? Asked Judy. Before I could answer, Mother called us for dinner. I splashed some water on my face, but my eyes were still red. The chicken Betty Jean had made was moist and delicious, but it stuck in my throat. Marley, Mother said softly, we need to talk about it. I ignored her. Mrs. Daniels called today and told me about your friend Liz, the one who turned out to be, she looked around and lowered her voice, a Negro. Did she think there were some radical segregationists lurking under our sideboard? We just wanted to say we're sorry, Daddy jumped in, because I know you don't find it easy to make friends, and she seemed like a nice girl, and a nice girl, Mother interrupted. She lied to Marley and everyone else at school. That's not what I call the behavior of a nice girl. Marley's probably feeling betrayed, and Marley's missing her friend, Daddy countered. Great, arguing again. I'm not hungry, I said, even though I was. No one answered. I pushed in my chair and went to my room. I crawled into bed without brushing my teeth, expecting to toss and turn all night, but the lions roared once, and I was asleep.